All right, so today we are starting into chapter 4.3, so we are dividing polynomials, and so this is day 1, and I just quickly wanted to go over some vocab. So dividend, this is the amount we want to divide. Divisor, this is the number we divide by, or the amount of groups. The quotient, this is the answer to a division problem, and the remainder, this is the amount left over after dividing, or the amount remaining. So in general, if we take the dividend, divide it by the divisor, that will give us the quotient plus the remainder if we have one. So for the next two problems, we want to solve using long division, and then we want to identify the dividend, divisor, quotient, and remainder. So we're going to start. Let me make sure I have the right pen here. Okay, so when we start a division problem, we're going to write it out like this. So this says 225 divided by 5. Other words, we are taking 225 and we are dividing it up into 5 different groups. So now we want to see how many times does 5 go into 2, and it doesn't. So 0 times 5 gives us 0. When we subtract, we get 2. Bring down the 2. How many times does 5 go into 22? That answer is 4. 4 times 5 gives us 20. When we subtract, we get 2 left over. Then we'll bring down our 5. And then now we want to see how many times does 5 go into 25. And the answer is 5. So 5 times 5 gives us 25. When we subtract, we get 0. So our dividend here is 225. Our divisor is 5. Our quotient is 45, and our remainder is 0. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and try the next one on your own. All right, so hopefully you paused the video and you found your quotient and remainder for 225 divided by 7. So we know that this isn't going to divide evenly because it divides 5 evenly. So hopefully as you went through this, this is what you came up with. So you should get 32 with a remainder of 1. So the way we're going to write this, though, is a little bit different. So instead of writing 32 remainder 1, we can also write it as 32 plus 1 over 7. So I got this because the remainder is 1 and our divisor is 7. So whenever we have a remainder, we can write it as remainder over divisor. All right. So now we want to divide the polynomial x squared plus 3x minus 4 by x minus 1. So we are going to use long division for this. And so just before we start, the first polynomial, this is our dividend. And then this second polynomial, what we're dividing by, this is our divisor. Okay, so we're going to write this out like x minus 1, and then x squared plus 3x minus 4 underneath. And so now as we're going through, make sure that you go back and check your work because there's a lot of room for mistakes here, and it's easy to make a mistake. So now I want to see how many times does x go into x squared? Or in other words, what can I multiply x by to get x squared? And the answer is just x. So if I multiply x times x squared, I'll get, or x times x, I'll get x squared. And then I need to multiply x times negative 1, which will give me negative 1x. Okay, so now when we're dividing, we want to subtract here. So if we're subtracting, that means that each of these terms now becomes the opposite. So instead of subtracting, let's rearrange this as an addition problem by changing the sign of every term on the inside of these parentheses to the opposite. So I'm going to go plus, negative, plus, because I'm just changing all of the signs, because I'm distributing in that negative. So now I have x squared minus, or x squared plus negative x squared, which gives me 0, and then 3x plus x. So that will give me just 4x. And now I want to bring down this negative 4. And so now I'm asking myself, what can I multiply x by to get 4x? And the answer is just a positive 4. So I'm writing x plus 4 up on the top, and then 4 times x is going to give me 4x, and then 4 times negative 1 is going to give me negative 4. So now I want to subtract this, and so I know when I subtract a polynomial, I know that I need to distribute in that negative sign to everything on the inside. So I'm putting parentheses around this entire polynomial, and I'm adding a negative and then a positive. So I'm just changing everything on the inside of the parentheses. So I'm distributing in that negative. So now I have 4x plus negative 4x, which gives me 0. And then I have negative 4 plus 4, which gives me plus 0. So I don't have a remainder. My remainder is 0. So this is my remainder. And my quotient is x plus 4. So if I wanted to double check and make sure that I did my division correctly, I could do x minus 1 and multiply it by x minus 4. And I should, when I'm finished, get x squared plus 3x minus 4. All right, so let's do a little bit more challenging one, because you will see more challenging ones as we go forward. So this next one, we have 2x to the 4th plus 3x to the 3rd plus 5x minus 1. And we want to divide that by x squared plus 3x plus 2. And so here, our dividend is what we start with. So this is our dividend. And this is our divisor. So now if we're writing it, we're writing the dividend underneath. So the dividend goes in the little house. 2x to the 4th plus 3x to the 3rd. And then I notice that I don't have an x squared term. So because of that, I'm going to write plus 0x squared, because I want to always keep my place value the same. And I don't want to just skip over it, because division is very place value sensitive. And now my divisor goes on the outside, so I have x squared plus 3x plus 2. All right, so now I'm asking myself, what can I multiply x squared by in order to get 2x to the 4th? And hopefully you answered that as 2x to the 2nd, because 2x to the 2nd power times x squared is going to give me 2x to the 4th. So when I multiply this through, I'm multiplying 2x times every single term in my divisor. So 2x to the 2nd times x squared is going to give me 2x to the 4th. And then 2x to the 2nd times 3x is going to give me plus 6x to the 3rd. And then I have 2x to the 2nd times 2, which is going to give me plus 4x to the 2nd. Okay, so remember, now we're subtracting this entire polynomial. We're not just subtracting the first part, we're subtracting the entire polynomial. So instead of writing as a subtraction problem, I'm going to rewrite this as adding, and since I am distributing a negative, I multiply a negative 1 times every term on the inside of those parentheses, and then I can continue. Okay, so now I have 2x to the 4th minus 2x to the 4th, so that's going to give me 0. And then 3x to the 3rd plus negative x to the third. So that's going to give me negative 3x to the third. And then I have 0x to the second plus negative 4x to the second. So I have negative 4x squared. Okay, now I'm going to bring down my next term, which is positive 5x. And now I'm thinking to myself, what can I multiply x squared by in order to get negative 3x cubed? And we should get negative 3x. So we're going to multiply our divisor by negative 3x. So when I do that, I will get negative 3x cubed, and then negative 3x times 3x is going to give me negative 9x squared, and then negative 3x times 2 is going to give me negative 6x. Okay, so now I'm subtracting again here. And so now, since I have that subtraction sign on the outside, I need to distribute that negative, and so I'm going to multiply everything by a negative 1, and so that's going to give me a plus, a plus, a plus, and a plus. Okay, now I can continue, and I will add negative 3x cubed plus 3x cubed, which is going to give me 0. And then negative 4x squared plus 9x squared is going to give me plus 5x squared. And then 5x plus 6x is going to give me positive 11x. Now, I just want to bring down this last term, which is a minus 1. And now I'm thinking to myself, what can I multiply x squared by in order to get 5x squared? And hopefully you said 5. And so now I'm multiplying my 5 by everything in my divisor. So I will get 5x squared plus 15x plus 10. Okay. And now I'm subtracting again. Oops. So here I am distributing a negative, and so when I do that, each of these turns negative, and that turns to a positive, because I'm distributing that negative in. Okay, so now 5x squared plus negative 5x squared is going to give me 0. 11x minus 15x is going to give me negative 4x, and then I have negative 1 plus negative 10, so that's going to give me negative 11. All right, so I don't have any more terms to bring down, and so this is actually my remainder. So now my quotient, I can write this out as 2x squared minus 3x plus 5, and then I want to add my remainder, so plus negative 4x minus 11, and I want to put that all over my divisor, which is x squared plus 3x plus 2. So now if I were to check this, I would need to multiply my divisor, which is x squared plus 3x plus 2, times this entire quotient, which is this. So it would be kind of a mess to check it, but you should get 2x to the fourth plus 3x cubed plus 5x minus 1.